Hello friends, my name is Dalit Soni and you are watching Drishti IAS. As you know that UPSC has conducted Civil Services Examination Prelims 2024 on 16th of June. We have gone for the analysis of the paper. We have seen the pattern, what kind of pattern they have asked, what kind of paper they have asked. So we have done a live session on that. In that live session, I told you that we will be coming up with the answer key and explanation. Okay, so when we are talking about this episode, we will be discussing the polity section of your 2024 paper, 2024 paper. So let's start. When we are talking about the polity, it was quite a good weightage was given. Nearly, you can say some 19 to 20 question has been asked from the polity section, and these portion was quite static. So we can say that the polity still holds water when we are talking about UPSC preparation. So let's start with the question. We will be following set D. Okay, set D. So be aware about that, and you can be following the questions from various sets over there. So how many delimitation commission have been constituted by the government of India till December 2023. Okay, so you know that article 82 talks about the delimitation commission, and it was in news recently because it was been talked about in case of Jammu and Kashmir, and otherwise also we have gone through the elections, general elections 2024. So it was expected that they might ask something on that lines. Okay, now when we are talking about the delimitation commission, so since independence we can say that the first one was constituted in 1952. Then in 1962 there was this act and the commission was constituted in 1963. Then in 1972 there was this act, and under which constitution was done in 1973, and after which there was this act in 2002. So the constitution of the committee was happened in 2002. We can say that. So there were one, two, three, and four such committees which has been made. Now the job of this committee was to fix the boundaries of the constituencies, or you can say that they can go for the number of seats etc. per constituency depending upon the population. Okay, so that was there. Now coming to the next question, that is basically the constitution 71st Amendment Act 1992 amends the 8th schedule to the constitution to include which of the following languages? Konkani, Manipuri, Nepali, Maithili. Okay, when we are talking about the schedule 8, there are 22 languages. Okay, which was originally there were 14 languages, and afterwards there was some addition which was done. One addition was done in 1967, that was Sindhi language was added. Okay, after that in 1992 there was this addition was done wherein the Konkani, Manipuri and Nepali was added. Okay, then in 2004 or 2003-4 you can say that there was another addition which was done of the four languages, that was Bodo, Dongri, Maithili and Santhali. Okay, so basically if you know that the Maithili was among the last languages which were added to the schedule 8, so we can say that we can eliminate this. If you eliminate Maithili, so obviously you will arrive at the right answer, that is 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now moving further to the next question, that is question number 3. Consider the following pair. There is a party on the one side and then there are its leaders which are given on the another side. Okay, now the party's name is Bharatiya Jan Sangh. Okay, and we know the founder of the Jan Sangh was Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, that is fine. Then second was Socialist Party. When we talk about Socialist Party, the founder or you can say leader was Acharya Narendra Dev. Okay, then Congress for Democracy. So when we are talking about this, Jagjivan Ram was its leader, and then when we are talking about the Swatantra Party, that was C. Rajagopalachari. Okay, so we can say that here 1 and 3 is rightly matched. So option B would be your right answer over here. Okay. Now moving to the question number 4, which says that which of the following statements are correct about the Constitution of India? Powers of municipalities are given in part 9A of the Constitution. Okay. Second is emergency provisions are given in part 18 of the Constitution. Then provision related to the amendment of the Constitution are given in the part 20 of the Constitution. Select the answers using the code given below. You have to choose the correct ones. Okay, so when we are talking about this question number 4, and if we see these parts, various parts, they had to be matched with the their, you can say, constituents. So you can say that all of them are correct. When we are talking about the municipalities, you know that there was this 73 and 74 Constitution Amendment Act was there. Okay, now part 9A was one among them. So that is the part which talks about the municipalities. Okay, then moving further, you can say emergency provisions are there in the part 18. Then when we talk about the amendment related procedures, that are there in the part 20. Okay, option D would be your right answer, that is all of the above, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, now coming to question number 5. Which of the following statement is correct as per the Constitution of India? Interstate trade commerce is a state subject under state list. Second is interstate migration is state subject under state list. Interstate quarantine is union subject under the union list, and corporate tax is a state subject under the state list. Now if you look at the subject over here, interstate trade and commerce, now they are talking about the trade between two or more than two states. Okay, so in such cases, which state will have power on that? Okay, so obviously they are not kept in state list, they are kept under the union list. Okay, so that is incorrect. Then interstate migration, again migration, when we see, we will be there will be an outgoing state and there will be an incoming state. Okay, so there are two states or two more than two states which we are talking about. So again, that cannot be in a state list, because ultimately which state will form rules related to that? So again, it is also in union list. Okay, now coming to the corporation tax. Okay, now these tax, we know that it is under the union list. Okay, so that is also incorrect. Now C is your right answer, because interstate quarantine, they are part of your union list. Okay, so basically in COVID-19 we have seen that this is part of your union list. Okay, now moving further to the next question, which is question number 6. Under which of the following article of the Constitution the Supreme Court of India placed right to privacy? Now this question was expected this time, because you know that Supreme Court recently has added one more right, that is right against the effect of the climate change. Okay, so that was also added into article 21. Okay, that is right to life. And similarly, few years back, Supreme Court has actually gone for addition of a right, that is right to privacy, under article 21. So that is why article 21 becomes important, and that was expected that they might ask you a question with respect to that. Okay, so option D is your right answer over here. Okay, now moving further to the question number 7. What are the duties of Chief of Defence Staff as head of the Department of Military Affairs? One is permanent chairman of Chief of Staff Committees. So that is one thing, permanent chairman of Chief of Staff Committees. Second is exercise military command over the three service chiefs. Third is principal military advisor to the Defence Minister on all tri-service matter. Okay, so when we look at this particular question here, so you will realize one thing, that Chief of Defence Staff was in news. Okay, the reappointment, and then there was this you can say integrated theater commands which we are trying to build. So in that, the role of CDS is quite prominent. So such advices are given by CDS to the government. Okay, so here they are saying that he is permanent chairman of Chief of Staff Committee. That is correct. Okay, then when we talk about the second one, exercise military command over the three service chief. Now that is not a role of Chief of Defence Staff, because he is a political advisor to the political representative. He is the advisor to the you can say defense minister. Okay, so that is incorrect. Now moving to the third one, principal military advisor to the defense minister on all tri-service matters. Now this is correct, because that is the role for which this post was actually made. Okay, so there was this Kargil Review Committee, Kargil Review Committee, on the recommendation of which we have created this post of your Chief of Defence Staff. Okay, so that is about this CDS related question. Now moving further, question number 10. Which of the following statement about the ethics committee in Lok Sabha are correct? Initially it was an ad hoc committee. Okay, then second is, only a member of Lok Sabha can make a complaint relating to the unethical conduct of a member of Lok Sabha. And third is, the committee cannot take up any matter which is sub judice. Okay, so when we are talking about this particular question over here, so you can say that the first one, it was an initially it was an ad hoc committee. So yeah, that was the case over here. Then when we are talking about only a member of Lok Sabha can make a complaint regarding or the related to the unethical conduct of member of Lok Sabha. So no, anyone can do that, any person can do it, but they have to do it through a member of Lok Sabha. Okay, so that is there. So question statement 2 is incorrect. Then the committee cannot take up any matter which is sub judice, or you can say that any matter which is on the basis of some via media or from the media reports, etc. They cannot do it. If they have to go for such action or such complaint, they have to basically rely on a evidence, strong evidence. Okay, so that they cannot take up this. So that is also correct. So 1 and 3 would be your right answer, that is option C over here. Okay, Now, why this ethics committee? Because ethics committee question was expected, because you know that this case was there, that was cash for query, or you can say Mahua Moitra's case was there, and because of which the ethics committee was in news, because that case was referred to the ethics committee. Okay. Now next question is question number 11. Who was the provisional president of the Constituent Assembly before Dr. Rajendra Prasad took over? C. Rajagopalachari, Dr. B. R. Ambedkar, T. T. Krishnamachari, Dr. Sachidanand Sinha. Okay, now this is a very basic static question, okay, which you are supposed to know. Option D is your right answer over here. There is nothing much to discuss about it. Okay, so when we are talking about the Constituent Assembly, so the senior most person was chosen to precise that assembly for the first time, and that, after that there was this election of Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Okay, now question number 12. With reference to the government of India, consider the following statements. It provided for the establishment of All India Federation based on the union of British Indian provinces and princely states. So this is you can say provision which was there, and you know that when we are talking about the various acts, or how the administration was working during the British time, so there were various acts, charter acts, etc. were actually they came at that point of time, and they become important for our examination. We have seen that in the last years also they have asked one or two questions from this particular area. Okay, so that was correct. Then defense and the foreign affairs were kept under the control of the federal legislature, so that is also correct. Okay, so option C would be your right answer over here when we are talking about the question number 12. Okay, this was a static question. Now moving to the question number 16. As per the article 368 of the constitution, when we talk about the 368, we know that that article is related to the amendments. Okay, Constitution of India, the Parliament may amend any provision of the Constitution by way of addition, variation, and repeal. Select the answer using the code given below. 1 and 2 only, 2 and 3 only, 1 and 3 only, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so basically when we are talking about this particular words, addition, variation, and repeal, we know that Parliament can go for addition. There are various instances where they have inserted provisions, so there was addition which was done. Then variation can also be done. There can be a change which can be made in the language of the constitution, and then repeal. There are certain provisions which has been repealed. Okay, so all of them. Other than that, also if we see article 368 was written in such a form that these three words has been mentioned in the article. Okay, so that is about question number 16. That is also a static part. Now moving further, question number 18. Which of the following statement are in respect of money bill in the parliament? Okay, so they are asking about correct statements with respect to the money bill. Now article 109 mentions special procedure in respect of money bills. Second is, a money bill shall not be introduced in the Council of States. Third is, Rajya Sabha can either approve or the bill or suggest any changes but cannot reject it. Fourth is, amendment to money bill suggested by the Rajya Sabha have to be accepted by the Lok Sabha. You have to choose an answer from the codes which are given below. Okay, now they are asking you about an article. When we talk about finance bill, financial bill, etc., we have this tendency to rely on article 110. Okay, most of the time we will see that if article 110 is there, so that is talking about money bill or finance bill. But again, when we are talking about the procedure, that is mentioned in 109. Okay, so that statement is correct over here. Now a money bill shall not be introduced in Council of State. That is also correct. Okay, the Rajya Sabha can either approve the bill, suggest some changes, but cannot reject it. Now Rajya Sabha has limited power when it comes to money bills, and that is why this statement is correct. Okay, now amendment to a money bill suggested by Rajya Sabha have to be accepted by Lok Sabha. As I told you, they have limited power. They can only suggest. Okay, that cannot be you can say an obligation on Lok Sabha to accept it. Okay, so option this statement 4 is incorrect. So 1, 2 and 3 will be your right answer. Now here you can see that they have asked question for money bill. These money bill or parliament, these are some favorite topics of UPSC. Okay, UPSC used to ask these questions from these areas. Okay, in last 2-3 years we have seen that there was unpredictability, but again now they have came back to the older you can say pattern. Now question number 19. Which of the following is are correctly matched in terms of equivalent rank in the three services of defense forces? Okay, so here you can see brigadier, when we are talking about the army, air force and navy, they have given some ranks over here, and you have to choose that which one is correctly, or you can say they are equivalent ranks. Okay, so in army they have given brigadier, air commodore and commander. Okay, so when we are talking about the brigadier level rank in air force and navy, so in navy it is not commander, it is also commodore. Okay, Okay, so we can say that in Navy there is this Commodore, Brigadier, Air Commodore, and Commodore. Okay, then comes the second one, that is Major General. So when we are talking about the Major General, and when we see the Air Force, there Air Vice Marshal is there. Okay, and then if we talk about this particular portion in Navy, that is called Rear Admiral. Okay, Rear Admiral and not Vice Admiral. Okay, then coming to Major, when we are talking about a Major in Army, they have equivalent rank to the Squadron Leader and then Lieutenant Commander. So this is correct. Then coming to the last one, that is Lieutenant Colonel and Group Captain and Captain. Okay, so when we talk about the Air Force, we don't have a Group Captain, we have Wing Commander. We have Wing Commander. Okay, and when we are talking about Navy, we have Commander. So this is incorrect. So we can say that all three are incorrect. Only third one is right. That option D would be your right answer over here. Now question number 21. Consider the following statements regarding Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam. We have seen that in the last 2 years, UPSC has not gone for asking questions like schemes and you can say such Adhiniyam, etc. So this time they have actually asked it. Provision will come into effect from the 18th Lok Sabha. This will be in force for 15 years after becoming an act. There are provisions for the reservation of seats for scheduled caste women within the quota reserved for the scheduled caste. Okay. So when we are talking about the Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam and it will come into effect from the 18th Lok Sabha, this is incorrect because after 18 Lok Sabha it will come into effect. Okay, so the Lok Sabha, that is general election 2024 which has happened and that has generated a Lok Sabha, that is 18th Lok Sabha. Okay, so this time we have not seen any reservation for women in Lok Sabha, so that is incorrect over here. Then coming to the second one, this will be in force 15 years after becoming an act, so that is correct. Then there are provisions for the reservation of seats for scheduled caste women within the quota for reserved for the scheduled caste, so that is also correct. For scheduled caste and scheduled tribe, that is true. Okay, when we are talking about this Nari Shakti Vandan Adhiniyam, why we expected this question? Because there was this act which has been passed by the Lok Sabha. Okay, before general elections, if we see that act was passed by the Lok Sabha. Okay, so that is why that is important for us. Moving further, question number 23. A writ of prohibition is an order issued by the Supreme Court or High Court to a government officer prohibiting him from taking a particular action. When we are talking about prohibiting a government officer or mandating a government officer to do something or not to do something, that is a writ of mandamus. Okay, so that is incorrect. Moving further, the parliament or the legislative assembly to pass a law on prohibition, so it is incorrect because that is vague. Then the third, the lower court prohibiting continuation of the proceeding in a case. So this is correct answer over here, because in the writ of prohibition, what higher court does is that they issue a writ to the lower court saying that in a particular case you will not proceed further. Okay, and option D is incorrect over here. Now moving further, question number 24. Consider the following statement. It is the governor of the state who recognizes and declares any community of the state as a scheduled tribe. Second is, a community declared as a scheduled tribe in a state need not to be so in another state. So basically what they are saying is that governor is the authorized person to declare a community as a scheduled tribe. No, that is incorrect, because that is not governor, that is president. President of India actually recognizes and declare any community as a scheduled tribe. When we are talking about the scheduled tribe of a particular state, that not necessarily be a scheduled tribe in another state. Okay, so that statement is correct. Option B would be your right answer, that is basically Bombay. 2 only. Now moving further, question number 25. With reference to union budget, consider the following statement. The Union Finance Minister on behalf of the Prime Minister lays the annual finance statement before both the House of the Parliament. Second is, at the union level, no demand for grant can be made except on the recommendation of the president. You have to choose the correct statement. Now, they have asked you this question because this time we have not gone for the union budget or the full-fledged budget. We have gone for the interim budget. Okay. Now, considering that, if we see that question was expected. Okay. Now, first statement, Union Finance Minister on the behalf of Prime Minister. No, not on the behalf of Prime Minister, but on the behalf of President. Okay, he lays the annual finance statement before the House of Parliament. When we are talking about annual finance statement, that is basically a union budget. This is explained in Article 112 of the Constitution. Okay, at the union level, no demand for grant can be made except on the recommendation of the President of India. That is correct. Okay, so option B would be your right answer. That is only 2. This question was quite easy and expected. Okay, now question number 43. With reference to the Speaker of Lok Sabha, consider the following statement. While any resolution for the removal of the Speaker of Lok Sabha is under consideration, he or she shall not preside, he or she shall not have the right to speak, he or she shall not be entitled to vote on the resolution in the first instance. Okay, now this Lok Sabha speaker, that was in news because obviously we have gone through the elections and we were supposed to go for the election of Lok Sabha speaker. Okay, so that is why this was expected question. Now if we see over here, he or she shall not preside. Now this is correct. Okay, now second is he or she shall not have right to speak. Now this is against the, you can say, basically principle of natural justice. Okay, right to speak, he has a right to speak on the floor. Okay, then he or she shall not be entitled to vote on the resolution in the first instance. Okay, when we are talking about a speaker, when he is presiding the session, then he cannot go for the voting in the first instance, then he can go for the casting vote if there is a deadlock. Okay, but right now he is not presiding, so he can, he is entitled to the vote in the first instance over here. Okay, so that is also incorrect over here. So one only is your answer. Option A would be your right answer over here. Okay, so question number 44. With reference to the Indian Parliament, consider the following statement. A bill pending in Lok Sabha lapses on its resolution. That is one. Second is a bill passed by Lok Sabha and pending in Rajya Sabha lapses on the resolution of Lok Sabha. Okay, second statement is also true over here. When we are talking about the first statement here, you can see a bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses on resolution. So that is right. Okay, so if it is pending and Lok Sabha resolutes, so it will lapse. Second is a bill passed by the Lok Sabha and pending in Rajya Sabha lapses on the resolution of Lok Sabha. So that is also correct. Okay. Now moving to the third statement, a bill in regard to which President of India has notified his or her intention to summon the House to a joint sitting lapses on the resolution of the Lok Sabha. Now this is incorrect because if President has shown his intention to summon the House for the joint sitting, in that case that bill will stay. It will not go lapse. Okay. So statement 3 is wrong. First two are correct. That is Bombay 1 and 2 will be your right answer. Okay. Now moving further, question number 45, and that is the last one. With reference to the Parliament of India, consider the following statement. Prorogation of a house by the President of India does not require advice of Council of Minister. Now, if we look at this, you know that President of India most of the time require, you can say, Council of Ministers advice. So that cannot be done without the advice of Council of Minister. Okay, so first is incorrect. Second, prorogation of a house is generally done after the house is adjourned sine die, but there are no bar to the President of India prorogating the house which is in session. So that is true because mostly in the normal run what will happen is that a speaker will actually adjourn the house sine die and then the president will prorogate it. Okay, but there are certain incidences where president can go for directly prorogating the house which is in session. Okay, then the third one, dissolution of Lok Sabha is done by President of India who, save in exceptional situations, does so on the advice of Council of Minister. Okay, so most of the time it is being done on the advice of Council of Minister, but there are certain time when he can do it on his own because there is some discretionary power which has been given. Let's say if after the, you can say, resignation of a particular prime minister, there is no clear majority. Okay, so in such cases president can take an action. So 2 and 3 are correct. Option C would be your right answer over here. So here we have seen that most of the questions which are from the polity section were from the static part. They were quite simple if you have revised it properly. So they actually the questions were doable. And now again, when we are talking about this paper, the focus was on the static portion. So we can say that we cannot ignore anything. Okay, so with that I would like to take your leave. If you have not subscribed the channel, please subscribe it. Have a nice day. Thank you.